Introducing our OG starter set. This is a really nice set to get started with. It comes with 6 forms in a variety of different shapes. The OG stands for our original edge, which is a 45-degree edge, which creates this wonderful kind of border, in a sense, framing for your pieces. So in this particular set, 6 pieces are an 8-inch round, a 5x4 rectangle, and 8 you could use for plates. The square you could use for rectangle you could use for works great for a spoon rest or soap dish. And then we have a 5x7. This is a great one for classrooms to make all different kind of holiday style pieces, from pumpkins to Easter eggs to also becoming a soap dish or sponge holder or soap dish, spoon rest. Then we have our 8x3.5 and also a 4x8 with a spherical rectangle edge. It's got kind of a bulged edge. Both of these are great for serving pieces or for butter or for keys or for in your bathroom, like a toothpaste holder. And then finally we have 8-inch spherical square. And this concludes our options for the OG starter set. All right, on 3, 1, 2. First, take a rolling pin, a slab roller, anything you have to prepare about a 1/4-inch slab of clay. Take a rib, use the smooth straight side as these nice kind of curved edge. What we're going to do is going to compress the slab in a way of pulling the rib towards you first. Try not to stretch out the clay, but I'll just try to pack those clay particles together, and by making a long stroke from the outside to the outside, you'll get this nice compacted slab of clay. Then take your rib and go around the outside edge to clean up any mark you might have made. If you start in the middle, you will get these lines. So you want to make sure you start from the outside edge and work your way across. Take your form. This time I selected the oval 5x7, and I am going to just cut out a chunk of the clay. Take a small board, which works really nice. Add the slab to the board, and then set aside your other slab in case you can use that for other pieces. We have some studio boards here. This is a 12x10, and the other one is 20x16. Works great for your clay products to move clay around, and they are light duty, so they can get abused pretty easily. So be gentle and keep them friendly. Now what I'm going to do is take my underglaze transfer, and these are made by a lot of different companies, and I love them all. So none in particular. Not even sure where this one came from, but basically what it is much like a temporary tattoo works. It's got dry underglaze on there, and when it starts to moisten, just like you would with a temporary tattoo, it starts to transfer onto the clay. So the clay is moist enough, I think, where I don't really need to add too much extra moisture. I just want to smooth it on there, and then I want to take my roller, and I like to use this rounded edge to just roll that, just to compress that transfer right to my slab. In no time, we should have this, it will transfer over. I actually like to just leave it on there so I know it won't transfer to the form. And now drape the clay with the transfer side on top of the form. Now what we want to do is gently, this kind of step is really important for bigger pieces, but just to emphasize, what we want to do is just gently move the clay around in this first step of pressure to the clay. And what this does is help move the clay towards the form and eliminates any air bubbles that may be present. So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is now a little more medium pressure. I like to start around the edge there, and we're going to just kind of shape that clay with a little more pressure. I don't want to have enough pressure where it deforms the clay, makes grooves for my fingers, or thins out the clay in any way. So I'm trying to maintain that thickness of the slab throughout this process. Get this out of the way. It's nice to take your rib even going around this bottom edge here to completely press this clay against the form. And this really helps if you're having difficulty with warping, to make sure it maintains its shape throughout the whole firing process. There's nice that there's canvas marks on there so that we can remove those off. And so that we know that we've given proper attention to this whole piece of clay. All we can do is decide what shape we want to do, and a lot of times what I'll do is take my finger and make a mark along this outside edge, and that gives me a way to cut. So I can take my tool here and cut through, making some nice strips of clay to be able to make the foot. And what that does is create this nice kind of beveled edge. So now we have these nice strips of clay that we can use for making the foot. Let's make this into the spoon rest. All I need to do is take my form here. Let's get a banding wheel to assist a little bit. Give it a little bit of height. All I'm going to do is take my two fingers here and I'm going to lift up on the side. Hopefully that's centered. Looks pretty centered, to give me a little channel for that spoon to rest on. Spoon handle. There we go. So now what we want to do is just remove it from the board and then set it onto, maybe back on this board for now, but on a board where we can move it off the side and let it dry until it's, for 4 to 6 hours, until it's leather hard, until the form just kind of falls right out. Okay, for this next project, I'm going to make this, and it looks like this piece is big enough. So I'm just going to lop off this little chunk of clay here. And again, set aside this strip of clay. Extra clay. So now I'm going to add this kind of striped form here. Let's see if that'll be enough. Not quite. Guess we got to go pretty well straight. So now I'm going to add my underglaze on here. Transfer. All right. So now I'm going to do is put the form down and then drape the clay right over top of my form here. Again, the first pressure, kind of first. Second, where it's a little more medium. Third with the rib. There we go. Doesn't take long to add a little foot on there. Gives it a lot more importance. So you can take this tool and clean up that edge. See how it just cleans that edge up nice? Rotate it here. Just cleans it up and also make sure that it's joined. Now do the same thing on the inside. You can make sure it's all attached, nice and blended together nice. Okay, so now this one I am going to cut up on top of the wood. And perpendicular to the angle of the form. And it's kind of fun, it creates a little more shallow piece. And this one I'm going to take my sponge. It's a little damp sponge. Kind of clean up those edges. So now once it's complete here, I can set it on this board, let them be friends and be happy, and rest together until they become leather hard, so I can flip it up with a little pinky. So, piece that, it's been about 24 hours, 12 hours, yeah, 24 hours since we made these, and so just pulling them off the form here first. I did check the first two out, and I did pull off the underglaze transfer. But you can see they turned pretty good. And then now what I can do is then use my rasp to kind of straighten out these sides, and use this tool to kind of smooth it out. And any other little detail stuff, I can use this tool for that as well. So we'll go through showing you how to do that. So now what I can do is I can take my this little tool here and rub it along the edge to kind of soften up this edge as well. So first I kind of remove the clay, then I come back with my little burnishing cleanup tool here, and I kind of smooth those edges. So see how that makes it nice and smooth? See that again. And if we want to kick this up enough a little bit, say this was a soap dish, maybe I'll just remove some of these stripes here, where I'm just going to, and I think in the green part it's a little less distracting, it's darker, so I'm just going to remove some clay here to give it a little drain hole. This is nice about this little assortment set, is that you can practice or try all these little tricks, all these little things to see what you really like. This is a great sampler. Clean up the back. See how I like to take the form and put it underneath? It kind of just gives me a place for all the crud to fall down. Now I'm going to shape this and clean up this edge, refine it the way I like it to be. I'm doing it at this stage because I feel like it's the most efficient time to really kind of clean things up. And then I want to take my, you can see how this kind of like digs into it. That's why I like using the rasp, because it kind of will dig into the clay a little bit sometimes. So now again, this is a good part to kind of clean this up. And so you can see the clay is really resistant here. So it's a great time to kind of clean it up without it kind of flexing or warping. So it really helps me to kind of smooth out this edge. So now I'll let this dry upside down, either both of them, until they become bone dry. Okay, for these last four I just want to explain the edges. So this one I left a little bit of an edge. This one I made the edge kind of try to resemble a little bit more like, feel like it's a branch, so the bird's kind of on a branch plate. This one here I cut along down the edge, so kind of going to refine that so it's kind of a more kind of controlled edge. This one, when I made it with this template, hand built using this template, and so now I can maybe add some underglaze to this outside edge to kind of complement this underglaze transfer in the center.